Welcome to my review of the Dyson Cinetic Big Ball CY22 Animal Bagless Cylinder Vacuum Cleaner. It's the newer version of Dyson's Animal Cylinder Cleaner, and it's from the lovely people at AO.com. The first thing to mention was the delivery. I received numerous texts and emails, both pre-delivery and also on the day of delivery, just to confirm of my time, and also on the day of delivery I was then given an estimate of my time down to the nearest hour. At any point along this time I could choose whether or not to delay it, should anything in my own personal schedule come up. Now, onto the Dyson. Dyson claims that this is the only vacuum with no maintenance and no loss of suction, meaning that you don't have to clean any filters, use any bags, or worry about the loss of suction. Weighing in at 7.7 kilograms, so fairly heavy, but also coming with the Dyson 5-year guarantee. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the tools that come with the Dyson. First up, you've got the turbine floor tool brush. Pretty standard nowadays with the Dysons, whether it's an upright or cylinder cleaner. And as you've come to expect with the Dyson, the end actually does have the pivot ball included in it, and therefore it does go in all 360-degree directions. Now, what Dyson have included with this one is, whereas before some of the cylinders were guilty of possibly pushing some of the dirt away, the added addition of the black bristles means that actually they now dust floors and also ensure that all of the dust and dirt that you're trying to vacuum up is actually collected and gone straight into the vacuum cleaner. Next up, you've got the muscle head floor tool. Now, this is great for hard floors and short piled carpets. What this tool does is it actually creates a vacuum within the actual tool, and therefore making sure you can get maximum suction up. I'll just turn it over and show you now. You can see that these have got some plastic edges there. Now, what happens is when you turn the tool on, it actually goes even closer to the actual floor, and therefore it creates a really good vacuum, and great for getting up those very fine and quite frankly annoying pieces on the kitchen floors or on the short pile carpets that with normal vacuum cleaners just wouldn't come up. Next up is your crevice tool, or as Dyson like to call it, a multifunctional tool. The one good thing to note about this crevice tool for me is the length. Normally Dyson give you a shorter length crevice tool, which is a bit annoying when you're trying to clean your car out, because there's always some bits you just can't reach. However, this time I'm pleased to report that actually it's longer than normal. On the end of it you do get your duster, so therefore the crevice tool also multi-functions for when you want to clean the ceilings, or if you've got the odd cobweb that amazingly seems to hang off the ceiling from time to time despite you hoovering. This will do that for you. Next up, you've got your stair or upholstery tool. Nice little small, short, lightweight tool. Again, with the upholstery on the back of it, so it makes sure that you don't rip or cause any abrasions to your settees or your chairs, but also handy for when you're on the stairs as well. Finally, you've got the tangle-free turbine tool. Now, this is great for hairs, particularly pet hairs. The reason for that is if I turn it upside down, you can see that actually it's got two rotating brushes. The rotate means that they actually don't get tangled up, because there's nothing more annoying for myself personally is I always end up doing it, is cleaning the turbine tool out, the larger one, which has got rolls and rolls and rolls of my wife's hair tangled all around it. Really annoying after so long, again, because it tends to be me that's the one that's always cleaning it up. But thankfully with this tangle-free turbine tool, that will be a thing of the past. Now, one thing I haven't pointed out yet is you might notice, if you've had Dysons in the past, that the connections are slightly different to the old ones. This is the new one with the red button, press button, very easy to put on and put off. And if I just show you the old ones actually went into the device and you'd press the device itself to actually release them. Now, what that does mean is, obviously on first glance I was slightly worried that my old Dyson attachments wouldn't fit onto the new Dyson. However, Dyson very handily give you a nice connector, so therefore you can still use your old ones alongside your new ones. I'll just give you a little demonstration. There we go. So you can see there that fits on there nice and neatly, and then that would go onto the end of your wand or the end of your bits and pieces of your vacuum. Now my first observation of the actual vacuum itself is it looks absolutely stunning. It really does look stylish and would fit into any modern home. One probably drawback of that is whereas my previous upright vacuum cleaner, which stored quite handily under the stairs of a cupboard that I've got in the house, this one takes up a little bit more room. It does stick out a lot, and whereas before the actual trunking would condense right down, this one obviously sticks out quite a lot more. So it's something to take into consideration in terms of where you're going to store the actual vacuum. Now let's take a closer look at the wand, which to you and me is the handle. Dyson call it a wand because actually it's a little bit magic in the fact that it does go 360 degrees, left, right, up, down, and it means that again when you're hoovering, nothing's too hard to actually turn corners or go around different obstacles you've got when you're cleaning up. You'll also notice this handy trigger I'm pulling just now. Now that trigger is great for things like mats or loose fitting articles, or when you're doing things like the curtains, because what that does is upon pulling the trigger it actually reduces the amount of suction in the hoover, and therefore where normally where you'd be hoovering over a mat it'd kind of pull up the mat, or if you go near curtains it'd suck the curtains up. Actually what this does is when you press it, it will still do suction, but not at the normal rate that Dysons are renowned for. So actually reduce the suction but still allow you to clean your curtains, your mats, without having to actually pull them out and obviously untangle them from the hoover. Really good addition. You'll also notice that you've got the attachment tool connected to the actual wand itself, which allows you to carry two extra tools, being the stairs tool, which handily just clips right in there, and also the crevice tool, which most people tend to use quite a lot to get into all those nooks and crannies, and that one again just clips straight in there. So it's good that you can carry two of the main tools with you. Now if we take a closer look at the main unit, you'll notice that there's a retractable cable there. This cable is 6.6 meters long, and Dyson claim that when that's fully retracted and also the wand is fully extended, then it will give you a 10.75 meter reach, which is quite a long reach. In reality, if I'm honest, you don't tend to have the wand fully extended, and therefore then you're probably looking at an average of a vacuum cleaner you'd expect to have in terms of having to, when you change rooms, also change the plugs. It's not a bugbear for me, to be honest. I'm used to it with all vacuums that I've had before, and as I said, I've had Dysons in the past, so it's no different to previous Dysons on that sense. The handy thing is that rather than having to wrap your cable around as you've had to with uprights before, this one is just a simple button. You just press and it retracts it in for you. If I spin it round, you'll also notice that the on button is just there. One of the features of the Dyson Cinetic Big Ball CY22 is that actually it promotes never falling over and stopping you from cleaning. Now it does actually fall over, as I'm just demonstrating here, but let go, and because of its low centre of gravity it actually flips itself back up ready to carry on. Great advantage really. I've had cylinder vacuum cleaners in the past before, and they do tend to flip over. Now once they're flipped over, it's kind of like being a mini ant or something, where actually you're rendered useless until you flip back over. So the good thing with the Dyson Cinetic CY22 is that it does that for you, so therefore then you're not having to mess around having to turn your cylinder cleaner back up at the right way to carry on vacuuming. One of the fantastic things about the CY22 is how to actually empty it. In previous Dyson models and also in other vacuum cleaners I've had before, the things like hairs or big bulky bits of dust all tend to sort of congregate around the filter. Now obviously that then leads to having to clean the filter several times to try and keep the suction as it is. With the CY22 there isn't any cleanable filters to wash or replace. The filter is actually built into the dust box itself, and then what happens is when you actually empty the actual dust box, it pushes down any hairs or debris around the filters as you're actually emptying it. Therefore no need to actually go in there with your hands or with any other tools or bits and pieces to do to get in there to actually clean it, and therefore it does the job for you. So it's probably easier to demonstrate than it is to discuss. So if I just demonstrate how you'd actually empty the unit, and I can show you what it does and how it cleans the filter along the way. So as with all Dysons, if you just press the button at the bottom, it releases the actual dust box, and there's a button on the back where if you push it down, you'll see that this red bit just here is actually cleaning the filter as it's pushing it down. So therefore, the filter there is absolutely spotless, and all the dust will then be in the bottom. Now obviously then to actually release the bottom, you just press the trigger again, and as with other Dysons, the trapdoor opens and it empties it into your bin. Then simply just close it back up, push it all back in, and back onto your Dyson, and you hear the click and you're ready to go. Now before I get on to the actual testing of the product itself in terms of the sound test and how it suctions up, I've been using it now for roughly 5 days, and some of my observations are in general is that the suction is absolutely fantastic. Second to none to any of the previous Dysons I've had, and by far greater superior than any of the non-Dyson vacuum cleaners I've had in the past as well. Really is top-notch suction. Now, you know, obviously classic that you had it in the first week and the suction's great, but again, you know, with the 5-year Dyson guarantee, I'd certainly expect the suction to remain. The Dyson 5-year guarantee is a great guarantee in that they come out to you to fix it if there's any faults. You don't have to obviously, you know, send things off to them. They'll actually even come to your work and fix it if that's the case. So it really does give you a bit of confidence when you're buying a Dyson machine. You know, as obviously they do tend to be slightly more expensive than other models, but equally I do believe in you get what you pay for. So you know, don't let that put you off by any means of the stretch. One other thing I did notice as well is obviously it is a big unit. Now when you're doing things like stairs, it doesn't sit on your stairs well. I had to use it from the bottom of the stairs and use the long wand and the extension tool to actually reach up to halfway the stairs, and then I'd move to the top of the stairs with the unit and hoover downward to the stairs to complete that. So a little bit annoying, but you know, obviously there's always going to be some I guess negatives when you're looking at things like this. Now in terms of actually manoeuvrability, you know, it really does move around well. The big ball and the wheels obviously attached to that mean that it literally, you know, swings around your living room, and the fact that it doesn't flip over, or when it does it flips back onto its main side, means that you're not having to worry about that side of things. You know, obviously the wand and the turbine tools have all got pivot joints in them, so therefore, you know, it really does flow easily around key furniture places, such as your tables and your settees and round corners with ease. You'll notice in a moment that, you know, when I turn it on, it is pretty loud, if I'm honest. A few people have said it's not loud. I personally think it is loud. However, you know, I also think that that's got to be balanced out between the suction as well. That, you know, as I mentioned previously, the suction is second to none. And actually, if I'm honest, if it means a louder hoover, you know, you can't really watch television when a hoover's on anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's a Dyson vacuum or whether it's any other vacuum. You know, you just can't watch things like TV or listen to music when a vacuum is actually in motion. So does it matter that it's a bit louder than other ones? I suspect not. Right, now it's time to give it a test. Let's see how we get on. So in terms of the test, I've kind of tried to replicate what we'd have in our typical family life. So the amount of cereal I end up picking up on a daily basis from our 2 young children is immense, so I'm going to see how it copes with some cereal. I've also put some sugar on the floor, just to kind of replicate, I guess, some more coarse type dirt. I've also put some tea bag powder, tea leaves on the floor. Again, they tend to be a lot more finer than sugar, so keen to see how it works with that on hard floors. And then finally I'm going to use a mat where, again, I've sprinkled some sugar over it just to see how it fares with that. And finally I'm going to give the Tangle turbine tool a go to see how it picks up some of the hairs. So let's see how we get on. So as you can see, I've just used the turbine tool on the hard floor within my kitchen, and what it's clearly done is it's pushed a lot of the sugar and the tea bags all over the floor. So not looking good for that tool at the moment. However, on the actual mat itself, it did actually clean off the sugar spotlessly, so really pleased with that one. I'll try the hair turbine tool in a moment, but what I am going to do is I'm going to switch to the muscle head tool just to see if that works any better on my hard kitchen floor. So here we go, I've now got the muscle head tool on. I'm going to turn the hoover on and see how we get on. So here we go, I've now got the muscle head tool attachment on. I'm now going to turn the vacuum on and see if this works any better. Now clearly the muscle head tool is absolutely nailed on the hard floor. The floor is now spotless, which again I'm quite relieved about. And again, as I talked about earlier in the review, that's mainly because of the muscle head creates a vacuum within inside of it to make sure that it gets up every single bit possible. Now what I've just done is I've just attached the tangle-free turbine tool straight onto the end of the wand rather than use the extension pipe, just so it means that I'm closer to the carpet in terms of for the review purposes. I'm interested to see if it actually gets tangled within the actual brushes, so we'll see how we get on in a second. Now you can see from the test that it's vacuumed up the hairs absolutely brilliantly, nothing left on the mat there. Now let's take a look at the turbine tool. As you can see, actually no hairs left there at all, and I'm sure they will all be in my dirt box. So that's the tangle-free turbine tool. As you can see, the fact that it's got the multiple addition of tools does mean that there is a tool fit for every purpose. Now we tend to use the turbine tool mainly on the carpets, although we have very short pile carpets, hard wearing carpets, purely because we've got children. So therefore, you know, we may tend to use the muscle head a lot more now on the actual short hard wearing carpets. The muscle head is fantastic for your kitchen floors because of the fact that it's actually got the plastic, you can see there the purpley blue plastic, that actually means that it does actually almost sort of push along and really suck up any debris or any dirt on the kitchen floors, and really does go close to the floors, creating that vacuum underneath. So we tend to use that quite a lot for the hard floors. And then obviously things like your crevice tools and your duster and your stair tool, which also doubles up as an upholstery tool as well, which we'll use for that purpose as well. So that's my review of the Dyson Cinetic Big Ball Animal CY22, an absolutely beast of a vacuum cleaner which takes no prisoners when vacuuming up dirt, and I would recommend considering one of these as your next purchases. I'd also like to thank AO.com for the opportunity to review it, and I look forward to cleaning my home. Thank you.